being the website. Chris, thanks for taking the time to be with us this afternoon. Well, things continue to heat up there in Raleigh with now the accusations from Tom Joyner, who I spoke to last evening, regarding, well, his announcement Wednesday that the Elections Board needs to take a close look at this administration's travel records and activities. Is there enough investigative power in North Carolina to handle all these requests for investigations, Chris?
No, there's not. And the State Board of Elections has traditionally been and continues to be underfunded in terms of looking at campaign finance and really investigating what's going on there. And it's sad that we get to the point where we need more investigators. We need more ethical people in office and ethical candidates out there is the answer to this all. You know, instead of growing government and growing investigators, we just need more people abiding by the rules that are in place and being ethical when they run for office.
I don't know. It sounds to me like it's part of the stimulus package. There's another job opportunity out there. I had to bring that into the conversation. Chris, looking at those accusations, and I've asked this question, and I'm not seeing it anywhere, Republican or Democrat. What is the reaction to Tom Joyner's? Tom Fetzer. Tom Joyner is a radio host in Raleigh. Tom Fetzer's comments. What is the reaction in Raleigh? Is there is this sort of, well, this is SOP, standard operating procedure?
That's what the Democrats want to dismiss it as, that it's partisan politics, and it continues to be just that. But there's something to this, and there's something continuing on. And you see today that Governor Perdue has announced a new chief of staff, Britt Cobb, from the Department of Administration, is moving over to be her chief of staff. She's continuing on a lot of the Easley programs, and a lot of the Easley legacy employees are staying on in her administration. The same people who were doing bad things under Easley or questionable things under Easley, she's keeping around and keeping in office and moving them over to her department as chief of staff. So if she says we're gonna get a break from things and she's a new generation and a new governor, why is she keeping all these people around? So there's this mentality and culture that's feeding Raleigh of these same people that are in Raleigh that they always keep around. They always seem to be in government.
All right. That being said, is there a feeling among those staffers that they are being? I mean, these are people that are basically on the payroll. They aren't elected officials. Are they beginning to feel a little uncomfortable by the scrutiny?
Well, they should, and there should be scrutiny on layers of government, and I hope they are, because we need, not only elected officials acting ethically, but if you look at a lot of the rough and pool indictment and things going through there, you had people in the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, in Diener and CAMA, who were basically corrupt, and it goes through many layers, and we kind of need that old what's that P.T. Barnum saying? I believe that politicians are like diapers; they should be changed regularly.
Right.
So I think that some of that that culture in Raleigh needs to be, there needs to be a change and a fresh idea and a fresh look at everything.
All right. North Carolina is not only looking at challenges in ethics, and we're going to get to something here very quickly, a campaign training class that the Civitas Institute is putting on. We'll share that with you here in a moment. But back to the challenges that this legislature is facing. I've mentioned Medicaid. We are seeing now concerns regarding the state's pension fund, the fact that the revenues are down. They're still ahead of the game, and it's still a fully funded, if I understand it correctly, pension fund. But the question is the state in any way, you've got several committees that have been established. For example, the 21st Century Committee that's going to be looking at how we actually tax our citizens. And in the light of that, we've got now many counties that are undergoing revaluation of their properties. Is there anything taking place in Raleigh? And I've asked this question every week, and I guess really it's beating a drum that has no resonance whatsoever. But is there any effort being taken in Raleigh that might in fact consider the future challenges as soon as this short session?
Well, the politicians here seem to have a very short-term view of things. They seem to like to tackle the immediate problems in front of them and not really want to think about the long term. And this isn't just a problem in Raleigh. We see it in Washington all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody in America knows that Social Security and Medicare is going to go broke at some point in time, Medicare before Social Security. But we know there are problems there, but nobody wants to step forward with leadership and present solutions to those long-range problems. I know you talked about the retiree health care and those type of problems with the pension plan. Representative Dale Falwell from Winston-Salem has been out in front on those things, talking about, hey, we've got a liability to state employees and teachers who have done their time and worked for the state, and the promises we made to them to pay for their health care for the rest of their life. We're underfunded by some $27 billion on that liability. We've got to start looking at that. And that's one of those things that we need more people thinking long-term about the consequences and the effects of what's going to be happening down the road, not only in the policies we adopt now, but what's been adopted in the past.
Our guest, Chris Hayes, and it actually segues into wrapping up the program with the upcoming campaign training classes that are going to be conducted by the Civitas Institute. With that comment about looking for real changes and real solutions, the question then goes to looking for candidates who are seeking to provide just those services. Chris, you've got a campaign training class that's planned for for anyone interested in running for office. My first question to you is, in that class, will this discussion of looking at or finding new sources of information rather than relying on old sources of information, will that be part of that training class, or is this just basically dealing with campaign scheduling, campaign procedures, and filings?
Yeah, basically the campaign training classes we're going to be doing across the state, rolling out in March and April and through the summer, is basically going to be focused on the kind of nuts and bolts of how do you run a campaign. Okay. I know there's a lot of people probably out there listening who want to get involved in not only running for office. You've got a week to go until filing. Filing closes next Friday, so we encourage anybody of any party to file and run for office, because that's how democracy works. But also the people who want to be involved in campaigns, and that's kind of where our campaign training is going to go, is teaching people the skills, how to run effective campaigns and how to be wise with where they spend their time and their money. And you bring up some other issues in terms of policy and issue training that we're going to be doing more later into the summer, where we start taking a look at the issues and informing people on, okay, what's going on with the bigger picture and the issues in the budget, and how did we get in this situation, and where are we going from there. And we'll be doing some issue training more this summer into things, but right now we're focused on getting the people who want to run for office a more informed consumer of what they're doing out there.
All right. If anybody wants to participate in this training effort, these training programs, let's talk about how they go about doing it, and is there a charge?
There's a nominal fee, usually sometimes $10, $25 that we charge, just so we like to have everybody to feel like they have a little bit of skin in the game, because when people get a free ride, and this is a problem with government and policy, when people get a free ride, they take something for granted, kind of thing. So there's a little bit nominal charge, and we're still finalizing the locations on them. I know we're going to have one somewhere on the I-70 corridor, be it Morehead City, New Bern, somewhere in that area. I know we're targeting that area throughout the spring. So I say hop on our website at nccivitas.org, send us your email, tell us you're interested, and if we get interested in one area, that encourages us to go do a training session there.
All right, that website again, nccivitas.org, nccivitas.org. I'm sorry, I was laughing. I didn't mean to interrupt your comment about having some skin in the game, but you're absolutely right, because elected officials tend, not all of them, tend to look at the opportunity for freebies, including airplane rides. That was unnecessary. I apologize. Chris, before we let you go, and I do appreciate your time this afternoon, what might we expect next week? The governor's off at the governor's conference. She's excited about creating new ways to support local enterprise. As a matter of fact, the state is going to provide, I guess, make it a competitive environment for anyone seeking to bid on a state project. If they're 10% above the winning bid that happens to be outside the state, am I to understand it, the state business gets the bid automatically?
I believe they get a chance to match the bid
if
they're within 10%.
Okay, so they're basically
they get a chance to match a little bit, and then they get preference as well. So she's trying to do a buy North Carolina and keep more money spent within the state. But we live in a global and regional and global economy, and you've got people in Brunswick County that may go down to South Carolina and work, or Mecklenburg County to go down. I applaud her for trying to keep business in North Carolina, but we've got to think more regionally and more globally and how competitive we are as a state on issues like our tax rates and our business competitive and stuff like that. That we've got to make ourselves more competitive overall instead of these little one-off kind of projects that sound good in print but don't actually have a whole lot of effect.
You haven't said that, but sort of noodling around the edges, not really attacking the issue. And of course, the other question I have is, if you have a bidding process, it seems to me you ought to follow the bidding process. If you're saying we're going to give an extra special benefit to state bidders, it seems to throw away the issue of integrity. Chris, I'm going to chat with you briefly off air. Thank you for being with us. Chris Hayes of the JWP Civitas Institute. Stay tuned for more on Viewpoints.